my Zoom and Facebook friends. How are you tonight? My name is Elena and I'm the author of a book called Spread Thanks, Create Miracles with the Power of Ink. And I'm the founder of a movement by the same name, Spread Thanks, which is based on the practice that I have and have been doing for over 5 years of writing a thank you note, a handwritten thank you note every day to a real person. A practice that has totally changed my life, which is why I want to bring it to others. So that's a little something about me. And I want to welcome the audience to the third week of my 21-day gratitude practice, which I launched on April 7th to bring positivity into our lives at this most challenging, crazy pandemic time. This COVID-19 is just unprecedented and is just challenging, certainly me, and I think all of us, to all different levels. And guess what? I mean, it's not going away anytime soon, certainly not like this, right? We're still kind of living through it. So just the other day, I wanted to jog my memory and say, okay, when did things change, right? So for those of you who know me, I work in education as a consultant for a company that has online courses, and I travel a great deal. And I said, okay, so when was the last time I met with a client in person? So I looked at my calendar, and it was Friday, March 13th, Friday the 13th. And I met with a client in the morning, and that afternoon, the state of Pennsylvania closed schools. All schools were closed on Friday the 13th. So I basically squeezed in one final appointment before that occurred. And so then I said, okay, so when did the stay-at-home edict start? So again, I looked, and it was, of all days, April 1st, April Fool's Day. So we have Friday the 13th and we have April Fool's. So we have about 4 weeks into this stay-at-home, forced mandate where we have to be home, and, the social distancing and all that. And 6 weeks or thereabouts since schools were closed. But it's far longer since normal ceased to be normal. And that's what we're going through now, right? And more than 40 days into it, how is this starting to feel, So what do I see now? I see that people are fed up, like super, like, we have this, we have this struggle between people who feel they need to get back to work and are eager to get back to work and jumpstart the economy, versus people who feel we're doing it too quickly. So we have tension with those two groups. And people are just tired of it. I hear terms like compassion fatigue, Zoom fatigue, right? We're Zooming all the time, and certainly COVID-19 fatigue. So we're tired, we are fed up, and it's really wearing on our nerves. So if I had to give this session a title, and you have to forgive my French, the title would be How to Feel Gratitude When I'm losing my shit, right? When I'm like, right? How do I still feel gratitude? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So how is Elena doing these days? This Miss Thank You Note positivity. How am I doing? So let me share with you, last week was really rough. I found myself, again, I'm working in online learning, which you may know is super popular these days because kids are stuck at home with something to do. So I, as lucky as I am to be employed, and I know that, I've never been busier. I'm like hunched over a laptop for 10 to 14 hours a day, choking down food in front of my laptop so I can kind of continue to work. And it just feels like this 24/7 work. And I started developing like this strange pain in my neck that went down to my shoulder. And I'm like, well, how could I be developing a pain? Because this is my job. I've been doing it for over 8 years. Well, in reality, this is not normal to me. I'm used to traveling. I'm used to being in front of people. I'm used to presenting to people. I'm used to staying in hotel rooms. I'm used to moving around and just being all the different places during the week. So this is a new normal for me, to be hunched over a laptop for the whole day, just boom, 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 hammering away at that. So this is not normal for me, hence the pain that continued to get worse throughout the week. And then on Friday, I attended my very first Facebook funeral. My cousin Brian passed away on Easter Sunday at the tender age of 43 years old of a heart attack. So I had to attend my first Facebook funeral, which was super sad, and not being able to be in person and be able to hug Brian's wife and Brian's father just felt surreal to me. So we had that. And then on top of everything else, the weather in at least Northeast Pennsylvania where I live has just been dismal and rainy and dark, and we still had some snow. I'm telling you, I was like, ah! So this was really challenging to me last week. So even Miss Positivity has her moments of like, oh my gosh, how much worse could it get? So for those of you who know me, you also know that I believe for negative things that are coming in my direction, there are also positive things that are coming. So you have the negative and positive coming at you at the same time. So I asked myself, what are some of the positives that I see in this crazy, COVID-19 time? So what do I love? So let me tell you, like, I love human ingenuity, right? People are now conducting parties by car, these drive-by parties for birthdays or maybe graduations or even showers that people are having. I think that's awesome. My neighbor a few weeks ago had a little get together in her driveway, and she put chairs like 6 feet apart in a circle, and we all got to go there with a glass and a drink in hand, and we got to visit, and that was super fun. So what are some of the other fun things? The online concerts that I see, that Lady Gaga or Bruce Springsteen, the Jersey for Jersey, they're conducting to benefit people in the line of duty. So I think that's super positive. And I don't know about you, but I see and I love all the humor that is coming in my direction. I'm collecting either funny pictures or funny videos about the fact that toilet paper has become the new currency, or how much alcohol we're drinking these days, or how we're schooling our children. So I'm like so enjoying the humor that the human resiliency is coming up with. So those are the kind of things that I want to try to focus on. And so, as you know, I like to keep these little sessions interactive. So I'm going to give you a couple of things to think about, and then we can review them at the end of the session. So I'm going to ask this question to you. What are you grateful for this week? What, if anything, has made you focus on gratitude instead of some of this, bad stuff that's sort of this like, can't wait for this to end kind of thing. And also, if you have been doing this practice of writing a thank you note every day, do you have any tips and techniques if you found yourself stumped? So share those with the group. That would be super awesome. And always, if you have any questions, submit them in the Q&A box, and we can address them at the end. And certainly any comments you have, please use the chat box and we can review them at the end. So thank you for that. So when I told you I kind of came to the breaking point for myself, I said, okay, so what am I grateful for? And so I made a list of things that I was grateful for this past week. So I want to share that with you. I am obviously grateful for my job. As busy as it is, I am so grateful to still be working. And certainly my heart goes out to those who may be out of work. So just know that I am eternally grateful that I'm still working. I'm also grateful for the fact that my niece Kelly got engaged this weekend. And I am so excited that she will be getting married. So that's great news for me. So what was I grateful for? So on Friday, which typically is a night where I like to go out and be with friends, I baked a cake. As simple as that. It took the whole night because I was not pressured to jam it into all the activities I was doing. It was all I was going to do that night. I used to bake a long time ago, and I totally get out of the habit. So I baked a cake, and I loved doing that, measuring the ingredients, taking my time doing that. So that's what I did on Friday. I did have an interview last week for PBS. I'm super excited about that. It's going to air on May 5th. So look for my Facebook posts about that. So I was grateful for that. And then I was also grateful for all the things I did before this COVID-19 restricted us. So I was thinking back just a few weeks ago where I was able to meet friends for dinner, travel, and see people more freely. And I just got in that moment of what that felt like. So I was grateful for that. So those are some of the things on my list. And you may think and say, some of them are really small, like my baking a cake. Like who cares about baking a cake? It's not a big deal. But I actually think that that's the secret sauce. I think the key is actually to be grateful for the very small things in our lives, because it's gratefulness for the small that is building the foundation for the new. Whatever new normal we will have after this COVID lifts, we're going to be, I believe, more grateful for those special moments. So that's kind of what I wanted to share with you, the things that I'm grateful for. So let me also give you my weekly tips and techniques that I want to share with you, because every week I want to give you some tips and techniques, because I've been doing this practice for over 5 years. So I suspect that those of you that started 2 weeks ago may already be kind of maybe a little stumped. I'm pretty sure by now you've run out of the obvious friends and family. And by now, perhaps you've also a little stumped as to how to reach out to those in the line of, the grocery workers. You may not be able to know how to get these cards to them. So if you're at all at a roadblock, I want to give you some creative ways to use a thank you note that I found, and I found them to be very, very powerful. One of them is to write thank you notes in the past. What I mean by that is look at your past, either distant past or near past. Make a list of people who were significant to you. Could be relatives, could be friends. It might even be a friend you don't speak to anymore, but he or she was very significant to you at some point. Maybe you're even quarreling with that person at the moment, but you remember that you were good friends. Write that person a thank you note. I'm telling you, it might even dispel some of the negativity you may have for this person now. So it might have some real added benefits to it. But write a thank you note. Write a thank you note maybe to somebody who is no longer with us, who may have passed on. Because whether you can mail the thank you note or not, it's going to shift your energy to one of gratitude. So it works regardless of whether you can mail the thank you note or not. So that's writing a thank you note in the past. Another technique that I absolutely love is writing a thank you note in the future. You're like, well, what does that mean? So let me tell you how that came into my life. So this was, as you know, I've been doing this for like over 5 years. So about a year and a few months into this practice, I was absolutely stumped for who my thank you note recipient was going to be that day. And it was a December day, 2015. I remember the date. And but that particular day, I was going to a presentation, clients that were not my clients yet, but it was their first time presentation. And I said, well, what if I write a thank you note to the person who assembled this group and invited me to present? I said, well, let's do it. So dear Craig, thank you so much for inviting me to present to your team. I thank you for assembling all the right people in the room. I found the questions to be very engaging, the conversation to be excellent, and I can't wait to continue our conversation about the project. as though I'd closed the sale already. So I addressed the envelope, I stamped it, but I didn't mail it. So then I went off to my presentation. And I am here to tell you that it is almost as though I hired actors and actresses to enact exactly what I had written in the note. The right people were in the room, the questions were engaging, the conversation was excellent, and sure enough, I walked out knowing that the sale had closed. And I walked out and said, oh my gosh, holy cow, this stuff works in the future too. And so the first thing I did, I found a mailbox and I mailed a thank you note. So I can't tell you for certain what happened that day. Maybe the act of my writing a thank you note gave me extra confidence went into that meeting, and maybe that showed. Or maybe the mere act of writing the thank you note set the intention and I was able to manifest that outcome. I don't know exactly. I mean, I have my opinions, but I don't know exactly how it worked. All I know is that it worked. So now when something is super important to me, I have been known to write thank you notes in the future. And that's a technique that I may give you because it's super powerful. And if you want me to kind of step you through it and talk you through it, feel free to reach out to me outside of this session and we can actually talk about it and I can give you some, again, my thoughts behind how this works. So that's super powerful. And those are two tips and techniques I wanted to share with you today. And that's kind of what I kind of want to wrap up my message, and maybe we can review any questions that may have come or any comments in the chat box. So I will ask my friend Stephanie to help with that.
Sure. So Jennifer shared that she likes to keep thank you notes in her car. She said, if I'm going through Dunkin' Donuts or picking up a takeout order, I'll write a quick card and put tip in the card and let that person know just how grateful I am for a cup of coffee or a pizza.
Oh my gosh, that's excellent. Great job, Jennifer. Yes, I think it's so important to have everything handy, right? To have, I know you do, you travel some amount, and so to have the thank you notes there and be able to use them when you need them. So that's awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. Let's get a thumbs up on that one for sure.
She's got more.
Hey, she's on a roll. I love it.
Speaking of the future, she said, hopefully in the future, I'll keep them in my purse and perhaps leave a thank you card on the table to maybe the server or the chef for the good service or a great meal.
Yes.
And she said you could have everyone at the table sign it.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I'll say no. Okay. This is a funny aside, but Jennifer, who's a very, very, very dear friend of mine, when I first came up with this practice, this is many years ago, and I was trying to enlist people to help me, Jennifer was one that said, do I have to write these notes? Can I just text them, or can I? And I said, no, it has to be handwritten because that's how you change your energy. That's how it works, blah, blah, blah. So she was kind of resistant on that. And she said, that's it, I quit. And I said, oh no, you're fired. So we will always have that funny moment between us. But now I am so touched to see that she is a super practitioner and she's coming up with some wonderful tips and techniques. So thank you, Jennifer. It's awesome. Excellent. The student is overtaking the master. That's awesome. All right. Any other comments or any questions for me that you shared?
There's a comment from Linda Ann. She said, I've been writing thank you notes since this event began and I have received such great feedback. Was not expecting any, but from the recipients, and it was extremely positive. This is a fantastic idea.
Oh, Linda Ann, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, this practice is the gift that keeps on giving. And I am telling you, you're experiencing the fact that not only are you being lifted, but that person is being lifted. It's this beautiful magnifying effect of adding positivity. Thank you, Linda Ann. That was awesome. Yay.
Yeah, Andrea is saying hello to you and that she keeps them in her car as well.
Yeah, that's really important. I keep them I used to travel a great deal with my job. Those days will resume, I'm sure, but not now. but I would always keep them in my briefcase. I would keep them in my suitcase. I would keep one in the purse, just so you never know when you find your thank you note recipient. And you may want to be able to, if you have the time, to jot the note right then and there. Or another tip, if you will, even maybe take a picture of that person just so you could jog your memory, or keep a list, a running list of people you want to thank. These are awesome tips and techniques. And they're coming from you, not me, which is even much better. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. What a great session. I'm loving it. Anything else?
We have a couple of questions here.
Sure.
The first one, somebody wants to know if you can share the cake recipe.
Maybe. It's an Italian cream cake, and it's fantastic. So yeah, I am happy to share the cake recipe. It takes a couple of hours, but it's joyous. It has pecans and coconut, and it's my favorite cake. So yeah, all right, I will.
The next question we have is, what do you do with thank you notes that can't be sent? Do you keep them or do you burn them? What do you do with them?
That's a great question. Again, it kind of depends on what you want to do. There are some rituals people have of setting an intention and burning it. Obviously, you want to make sure it's a fireproof dish, right? I personally keep them. That's just my practice, because I may refer back to them at times. And I guess I'll give you another tip and technique. I sometimes have written thank you notes to myself if I went through a particular challenge, or I just wanted to thank myself for working hard or whatever, or keeping in a positive mood. And those I find helpful, because I'll throw them in a drawer. And these other thank you notes as well, you throw them someplace and you'll be surprised. You will find it perhaps at a time that you need to, and then you can refer back to them and read them. But if you prefer to burn them because you feel that that energy is then going out into the universe, if you've written a thank you note to somebody who's passed, do that as well. Just make sure it's safe. Great question.
Next question is, where do people go if they want to go deeper with the practice? What do they do and where do they go?
Forgive the shameless plug, but if you want to buy my book, I have lots of tips and techniques. But if you don't, and that was a little tease, but I promise, I've done this for so long, I've gotten super creative with doing it. But if you want to reach out to me on social media, and if you want to have dialogue about this, I'm super happy to do it. Here's one thing I will tell you. The key is to be present and to be mindful. And if you look for somebody who makes your life easier, you're going to find it. I promise you. I've been doing it for long enough that it doesn't fail. I'm never at a loss to find a thank you note recipient, because of ways that I go deep, I think, I'm present, and again, I feel super grateful. The more gratitude you feel, the more reasons you will have and attract to be grateful. I think that's how it works.
Linda Ann has a comment. She said, I received my order, book, bracelet, and thank you cards the other day. And big thank you to you, Elena, for your beautiful note to me. The package was beautiful and looking forward to reading the book, which you autographed. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yes, if you order books on my website, I'm more than happy to autograph them for you. But they're also available through Amazon, whatever is more convenient with you. But I would certainly love to share some of the knowledge that I found in getting creative with doing this practice. I'm telling you, gratitude has healed me in ways that I never thought possible. It has brought health. It has brought more prosperity in my life. The benefits are immense. Yep.
Linda Ann also had a question. She said, sorry if this question has been asked before, but what made you start this wonderful practice?
Oh, well, thank you for asking, Linda. That's so sweet of you to care and want to know. So I'm the kind of person who feels and has always known that we are here on this earth, in this existence, to make a difference and make the world a better place. I've just known that innately. It's just since I'm a child. But I was on the quest for that. I just didn't know what my mission was or why I was here. I don't have children in this lifetime. And obviously I think that's if you have children, that's your contribution to the world, the most beautiful one you can have. But in the absence of that, I was like searching for my mission and reading books along the way, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, along those lines. And then in the quest for my mission, I was stopped dead in my tracks over 5 years ago by this, what I call a whoosh, because it stopped me. It was like the surge of energy. And in my mind's eye, I saw the phrase, a thank you a day, very clearly. And it came, I don't know where it came from, but it was like, boom. And I knew intuitively that I had to act on it because it was so impactful. And I somehow intuitively knew that it involved writing a thank you note every day. And as simple as that, based on this whoosh, I embarked on this practice, and I immediately started seeing the benefit of it because I immediately could see my mood was lifted. And then I started seeing that not only was my mood lifted, but other people were lifted by this practice. And I just kind of became almost addicted to this beautiful feeling I was getting. It was like learning to exercise and feeling the benefit of it. You start needing to do it. And then I continued. And when I would get stumped because I was running out of your obvious recipient, that's when I got creative with it. And then that's when I unlocked the magic of gratitude, because I promise you, it's a magical energy. So that's the short of it. Everything's contained in the book you just received, so I don't want to give any more away, but thank you for asking. You're very sweet.
There's another question. How did you learn to trust feelings like that whoosh you felt?
It was so impactful. I had to. So I'll give you the real story. The whoosh came the year before, and it came, and it was not as loud, and I got this whoosh, and I saw a thank you a day in my mind. At that time, the man I was dating was dying of cancer. So honestly, I didn't have the bandwidth to even know what that meant. And I cast it aside. So then fast forward a year later, coming out of the fog of that experience after Harry died. And then I was stricken again by that same whoosh, and it was so much louder and more impactful. I said, you know what? This is no accident. This is coming to me, and I must act on it. So it actually came to me twice. The second time was so impactful. I knew I needed to do something. So I'm here to those of you that may be looking for an answer, looking for your questioning, and you're looking for a message. When it comes to you, you will know it. It felt different. Again, I don't know if it makes sense to you, but all I can tell you, it just felt different, and I needed to act on it. So that's an excellent question. Thank you. I'm loving tonight's session. It's so interactive, and you're with me. It's just awesome. Thank you. Anything else, Stephanie? Any questions or comments?
Last comment we have here, Linda Ann just said, wow, that is amazing. Thank you for acting on and answering the call.
Oh, thank you, Linda Ann. Now, I don't know if this is my ultimate mission. It just feels like something I had to do. That's why I wrote a book. When I started seeing the power that this has, I felt I couldn't possibly hoard it. I had to share it. So this is my passion project. Trust me, it is a financial investment. It is not a windfall right now. Oprah hasn't discovered me yet. Or Ellen DeGeneres or whatever, but I do believe on a small scale, if we can start this beautiful groundswell and have people thinking out of a position of gratitude instead of negativity, we can change the world. I promise you. And I'd love to make you part of my mission. And so together, one thank you note at a time, as simple as that, we can make the world a better place. So thank you, thank you, thank you all. Thank you, Stephanie, for helping me tonight. Thank you all for your beautiful comments and questions. And I hope you continue on this practice. It will change your life, I promise. And I hope to see you next week for the wrap up of this 21-day gratitude challenge. So with much love and gratitude, I bid you goodbye. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye now.